Hi, I'm Sheila Corbett, and I live at 72 Sherman Bridge Road, and basically I am the abutter to the bridge. There's nobody else but us right at Sherman's Bridge Road. We know how fast people go on Sherman's Bridge Road, and having an asphalt bridge is going to just make them go faster. They go 40, 50 miles an hour now. I live right there. I know how fast they go. And during the wintertime, if they go around the bend too fast, they end up in the woods right before the bridge. So knowing this and anticipating some kind of speed problem is a big thing. I have a dog. I walk my dog. I can't walk my dog when it's speeding. I have to change my hours walking the dog right now because the 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock cars are constant on the bridge. I mean, constant on the bridge in the morning. In the afternoon, they change ways of going home, but in the morning, everybody travels down Sherman's Bridge Road, and it's very dangerous. So I've had people turn around in my driveway. I have a big, wide driveway. I don't want big trucks driving into my driveway to turn around, access my property. I've had trash trucks turn around in my driveway, not even looking, they almost hit my mother. There's not, in my own driveway. There's not fair that all of this is gonna end up, when people come down to the bridge and not gonna be able to cross the bridge, they're gonna turn around in my driveway because everything's gonna be right there at the bridge and they're not gonna be able to get by. So I've lost the pads on in my driveway. My cement pads going onto the street have all been crumbled by the trucks that turn around in my driveway. I have a big fear of when this project gets done, of all the issues that I have with trucks and issues that I have with people not having consideration of what's going on. I have an elderly mother there, and so I'm very concerned about what's going on with the trucks. The big, huge trucks that drive over that bridge right now, the 18-wheelers, they've got the big logging trucks that go over that bridge. The bridge the reason why it's crumbling is because of these big, huge trucks. If the trucks weren't going over the bridge, we would be, it would be much safer. We could keep a wooden bridge, especially, the aesthetic pleasingness of the bridge in the area. Having a asphalt bridge is going to take away a lot of the quaintness of Wayland and Sudbury. So,
Sure.
That's it.
Thank you for it all. Thanks.
Hello. My name is Kurt Tramposh. I live at 2 Weir Meadow Path in Wayland. When you're on the north side of the bridge looking up toward Weir Hill, we're the last house on the river. So it's about 2,000 feet away and line of sight. And I've participated in the last sessions from 87, 15, 16, 92, the rebuild of the bridge. And it's clear that things have changed on Sherman Bridge. Before, the traffic calming used to be the potholes on the bridge and the, not the bridge, on the Sherman Bridge Road side.
On the approaches, sure.
Yeah, yep. And then the road was repaved. Now we have multiple stop signs which have helped slow down things. The issue I'm having is the bridge is being repaired in a larger context. And while it's trying to solve some problems, it's causing other problems that aren't dealt with if you're talking about safety and preserving safety. One question I have, Mike, is what is the crash test rating on the glue lamb side rails there?
References speak to it being a TL4 crash testing rating.
What speed?
I'm going to turn to Kev for a little help on explaining the TL levels. Sorry, we need a. on mic, sorry.
Right, the
Fair-
last I heard, it
Fair.
was a 60-mile-per-hour crash test.
Okay.
The median speed on the road has been determined to be roughly 38 overall. But Sherman Bridge and Lincoln Road accesses to the bridge were straightened out in 72 with some land takings where the towns took out some of the curves. They were determined in the 87 proposal to be a hazard, so they were going to be straightened even more with the concrete bridge that was going to be coming in, the $3 or $4 million. Basically, the model for it was the railroad bridge in West Concord, and this was a DOT, and the highway departments had pretty much signed off on it until we had a neighborhood meeting. And I guess what I'm thinking here is this the first neighborhood visioning that this project has had? Is this the first overall meeting of the two towns' residents to discuss this project?
Yeah.
Has there been one earlier?
No?
Okay.
Was the last one?
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because the plan right now, this is not staying up, the plan right now, as I read in the handout, is to continue the design and permitting phase to the end of this year. Let's see, that's about 2 months away. And then go into final project planning. At some point, in order to get this far on the project, a contract had to be signed with the state. How long ago was that in order to get the monies for planning, for design, for consulting, for?
There's no contract.
There's no contract with the state right now.
No, they've offered to be a partner with this project and
Okay.
support it financially.
What is the idea of using a glue lam surface that is being done in kind? What is that about? Who is doing that? What, giving a working, I think Mr. Holder had discussed working with a company that's involved in the project to try out something new. What is that, Tom?
So I guess to answer some of your questions in the order that you were asking them
Sure.
is, we've been working with MassDOT.
Okay.
They understand, based upon their inspection reports, that this bridge is now categorized as in severe, a disrepair. The repair needs to be made as soon as possible. They have a process whereby glue lam is applied. There's a top course of asphalt.
Yes.
They are strongly emphasizing that be the route and the design that we pursue. We have the opportunity to obtain, in essence, what is valued at about $1 million. $325,000 for the glue lam materials, and the balance of that is what they're saying they will likely be able to use their area contractor to perform the installation.
I'm sorry, is this the state you're talking about, DOT?
NASDOT.
Okay.
Yep, so they have the contract, they have area contracts. They did something similar for us 2 years ago on Route 27 over the Sudbury River.
Sure.
Whereby they did the work for us, and it worked out beautifully. So that's the schedule that we're trying to adhere to. They have told us, they wanted an answer from us some time ago, but we knew how important it was for us to have public input, give residents, abutters the opportunity to speak their mind, to offer suggestions, what their desires, what they feel are important. So we deferred giving MassDOT a response until after we've had this gathering. We've heard a lot. We knew it was important to gain this information. But if we're to benefit from, in essence, $1 million opportunity here, we need to notify them that Sudbury and Wayland are prepared to advance this project, and their deadline is to have it completed within calendar year '26.
And the reason for, I read the inspection report from last year. It didn't seem like there was critical need to do a immediate repair.
ASAP. SA is on much of the decking criteria.
Yes.
You read that, and you'll see SA. That's severe, major deterioration, repair as soon as possible.
All right, when you go back through the historic records on bridge deck repair to this bridge, right into the 1700s, that was a normal thing to do. Every 5-10 years, the repair of the decking had to be done. And it was, and sometimes less exponentially than others, expeditiously. But that's always been part of having a timber bridge. When Don Ouellette, your successor, your predecessor, beg your pardon, made the proposal 10, 15 years ago to replace the bridge. It was going to be $3 or $4 million concrete bridge. And the comparison to, say, spending $20,000 a year to replace timbers at the worst, or $20,000 every 2 years, it turned out to be like a 300-year payback in order to accommodate for a new bridge versus replacing decking periodically. The superstructure has to be replaced periodically and has been. But where the expenses on the bridge right now have to do with making it safer and faster for cars, basically by fencing off pedestrian and viewing areas, putting in asphalt to make it faster, and making it difficult for pedestrians on the bridge to move back and forth on the bridge, depending on what's happening on the river. What I'm seeing is it's being done with DOT funds for the sake of the bridge, but not really looking at the context of the entry points from either side, from Sudbury or from Wayland. It's not looking at the disappearing sidewalks on at least the Wayland side, and the most dangerous hill on the whole road as you approach the bridge, a blind, curve, steep hill. It's not accommodating for weight limits, as far as I can see. It's really beyond me that the bridge has been able to withstand the kinds of traffic and weights it has. And I thoroughly understand the neighbors' concerns with noise, because 2,000 feet away, my wife and I, who've been living where we are for 50 years, with the wind direction right, can hear the noise from the bridge rumbling. Sometimes it's very loud, sometimes it's not. But I keep in mind Pelham Island Bridge, when that was finally replaced from a single lane wooden bridge to what we have now, a concrete bridge. The first thing the neighbors did after Pelham Island Bridge was put in with 2 lanes was complain about the traffic speed and the noise. And they wanted speed bumps put in, because in the past the bridge had been the speed bump. And now, I don't know if they're still doing it now, but they were looking for rumble strips, or they were looking for speed bumps or something to slow down. Is that correct? Do I have that right?
I am not aware of any intention of putting speed bumps, speed humps, or rumble strips on Pelham Island Road.
No, I had not intention, but neighbors were complaining about it after the bridge had been installed.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it, likely because I wasn't here when that work was done.
Oh, okay, sorry. Gleason Lane has, I think, 11 speed bumps, humps, rumps, whatever, for the neighbors who are worried about traffic coming through Gleason Lane to go to the town mall. And the first thing that happened was landscaper trailers and trucks made terrific noise coming down through Gleason Lane as they were going all these speed bumps, and they weren't going slowly either. This bridge is acting as a speed bump for traffic. The asphalt and the confining the driving area, making it less possible to interact with bicyclists or pedestrians or people fishing on the bridge is going to speed up the bridge. But without doing anything on either access side and without looking at the problems on Sherman Bridge Road itself, which I think is an extraordinarily unsafe road. I've biked it, I've run it for 50 years. And that roadway, when you get to the choke point coming from Oxbow and Alpine going up the hill, is the most dangerous, confining, invisible, fast corner for anybody walking a baby carriage or riding a bike or running that I've seen in town. This is nothing to do with the safety of that when we're looking at just the bridge and the project and how this is going to increase traffic on the roadway. The other problem that I should mention is I didn't take long searching to find that glulam surfaces are very problematic when they're applied to a timber bridge, especially an older existing bridge. In this case, major reports in the past 20 years have assessed glulam surfaces with asphalt on top of timber structures, and they found that it will delaminate, it will deflect differentially. It has a wearing surface. When you have a problem with asphalt on a glulam, has to be attended to immediately. You can't wait like you can with timbers because the problem gets worse in a hurry. One of the things, and the studies are there, and I'm sure that people in this room can provide them to you. But having gotten this far with this process, it looks like it's a fait accompli. That is, it's going to be glulam, it's going to be crash-worthy things. Is that not the case? Is there any thought that this might change, or the wonderful comments that we have tonight are going to make a change in this design, and how would that happen?
So what we are trying to achieve is a bridge repair design that provides a balance for providing the public safety issues that we've been talking about all evening, but also being mindful of preserving the historical appearance and functionality of the bridge.
That's important to me because I've been on, I was on the steering committee for the Sudbury and Assabet River Committee for 10 years. I've been involved in many of the issues in town around historic preservation. This is not in any form historic preservation. Adding the steel to the bridge, adding the asphalt, I liked Roy's comment about the orange because it's actually very telling. This is a DOT structure with $1 million attached to it without having alternatives presented. The fact that we're at the end of the year and we're already wrapping up the design process and permitting is Mass DEP involved?
Well, the Conservation Commission has to report and file with Mass DEP, so indirectly they are, yes.
Fish and Wildlife?
We are working with them as well. Army Corps of Engineers, yes.
The Army Corps is, you're working with them in what way? Are they already having
To
meetings?
obtain permits to perform this work.
All right, so in other words, you already have a bridge with glulam and $1 million that's going through the permitting process before we've even had the envisioning, quote, session. I don't understand that. That's turning the process on its head. This is unlike any other kind of process I've seen on the bridge. And it seems almost irreversible at this point. But here's one other thing. Sherman Bridge is the last bridge to go underwater during a major flood. 2010, 1987, 1968. Route 20 goes under in Wayland. Route 27 goes under at the golf course. 117 goes under. I've actually been on 117 with fishtails where people are rushing to get over the bridge before the water came up any longer, any higher, so you could get on the other side of the river in rushing traffic where you couldn't even see the road. This bridge is the last bridge. And when it goes underwater, the access on both sides goes underwater first. People are still using the bridge. The lamination, the delamming of the glue lam under flooding conditions is severe. It's a documented problem. It's in the water. Basically, the bridge is underwater for a week, sometimes more. I haven't heard anything about issues around glue lam surfaces, although they're out there, the history of problems with glue lam. But this bridge does flood. And when it does, you have all of that membrane and glue lam and asphalt and everything else basically underwater while people are still driving on it until it gets too deep and the bridge has to be closed. I haven't heard anything addressing issues of debris. In 68, Army Corps of Engineers had a great picture of a crane that had to come in and get on the bridge to remove all the debris that a hurricane had deposited upriver on the south side of the bridge in order to keep the bridge from collapsing. When you have that kind of debris hitting against an engineered system like this, there's no hope that it's going to retain its integrity. But the biggest problem I have, Tom, is and I'll stop, but I'm not finished. But it's very disappointing to be in the final stages of an envisioning where it involves recreation, it involves bicyclists. I've seen groups of bicyclists stop on the bridge in order to admire the wildlife refuge. Fishing, a regular event. The landings there almost went away with one of the earlier bridge designs, and I and others in the neighborhood had to fight to keep the landing. Tom is right. You have very few access points along the river. This is an important one.
I guess what I'd like to do is reply,
Yes.
covering a fair amount of items that you've mentioned.
Yes, thank
And
you. Yeah.
I just want to explain how we got to where we are
All right,
tonight
thank
and
you.
why we're at this schedule.
All right.
You know, we have bridge inspection reports from years past whereby we were able to accommodate and answer to those reports by replacing timber boards each season, sometimes
Sure.
twice per season.
Yes.
Now the bridge reports tell us that we're at a much higher level of deterioration. We can no longer sustain the maintenance approach that we have been currently. Those lag bolts have nothing to bite into. You go on the bridge, I'm sure.
Well, they were misaligned to begin with. Somebody didn't know how to put them in.
Well, I would debate that, but, so we cannot sustain that. We can't go on another year or two, even a year.
Yes.
We have nothing to bite into. So MassDOT has stated to us, we invited them tonight, they were unable to attend, but if we do not make a repair to this bridge in the coming year, they will close it. So we have been making this effort. We have been making this.
The neighborhood was very
Bear with me,
quiet when
bear
they
with
were
me 1 minute.
rebuilding the bridge.
Bear
I'll
with
tell
me
you.
1 minute.
Yes.
So we have been making this effort to develop a solution that achieves the balance that I was talking about earlier.
The balance comes with inviting
And this is the
groups
first
and
time,
neighbors to come in.
I think
people who have
this
lived
bridge
here
was
for-
replaced or worked on in 71,
Yes.
91. It was proposed in 2015. Now we're proposing it. I believe this is the first time ever that a forum has been scheduled and held to obtain input.
No, that's not true. No, but in fact, I was here in Sudbury for one of the earlier iterations, I think it was 87, with the concrete bridge. That was a forum before the final designs were in. They were proposing a design, and I and neighbors, some who were here, were at that meeting. And we got them to change a few things, like they wanted to raise the bridge 4 feet in order to be out of the water, so it would be the only bridge that was out of the water when all the other roads were. They wanted to straighten out and raise the access on either side of the bridge to make it faster. We had a meeting then, and it did have an impact, and they decided not to go with it. I've been to all those meetings.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
And I
not
think
the
that those
case.
meetings
And
were
this is-
held when the design process was much further along. I think that there were obligations made at that point in time. We're coming before the residents and the abutters, the interested parties, well before those meetings were held in the past. That was the point I was trying to make.
Yes.
So I guess bottom line is we need to do something now. And I believe what we're proposing, there have been a lot of informative remarks made tonight. So we will now go back as a design and project team and speak to these things and put
And
together.
have another meeting, have another community
If
meeting like
we're
this?
to utilize the offering of MassDOT, we would not be having,
No, Tom, no. It's not that imperative. There are things that have to be fixed on the bridge, and they do have to be fixed sooner rather than later. But it's not falling to the river. It's not dangerous. In fact, one of the things that I've been worried about here, we've been hearing about crash testing and having a bridge that, this is rated as an urban collector bridge. And it's rated as that because it's in a town, in towns, which have an urban population more toward Route 20 and 30. But this is a rural bridge situation, not an urban collector. A lot of these design techniques that are being used are to accommodate DOT crash standards, which aren't necessary for this bridge. And what I'm asking is, where have there been accidents that necessitate this kind of, what's the word? Making it a,
I mean, I can speak to that. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got 2 registered engineers sitting here
Oh,
up at
good.
as panelists, but,
All right.
you know,
My condolences.
when they're asked to put their professional stamp on a set of design drawings,
Yes.
they need to assure that current standards are being met.
no, the question is,
And-
where's the documentation that there have been accidents, endangerments on the bridge that require this kind of reinforcing?
I don't think you need to provide evidence that there's a chance. I think you need to,
A chance?
there are standards
No,
that
have
are
there
put in
been
place.
accidents? Have there been accidents on the bridge? Have pedestrians been hit? Have bicyclists gone off the road? Has a car gone off the bridge that requires this kind of
I
reinforcement?
mean, I guess, you know, I'm not sure if we want to debate this, but I'll ask you guys, do we have to provide
Either
evidence?
is or isn't.
Do we have to provide evidence that there were crashes, or are there standards that have to be met regardless?
I think the latter.
You have very good questions. You know,
Well,
as
I'm
far
sorry
as
to
what is the
rail on, but
justification?
These are not being answered tonight.
Frankly, we don't wait for accidents to happen to make changes occur. We design to prevent things from occurring. It's a responsibility that we have as professional engineers, but that's why standards exist, so that there's the predictability of those features that we touch on the design side and that the towns construct
Yeah, thank you.
that have a reasonable assurance of meeting not some arbitrary standard, but tested national, federal standards that are supported by the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials and others, not just, some appearance of a state-level design that gets hammered down to Wayland and Sudbury. This is a fundamental element of basic roadway safety features.
All right,
You-
I guess what I'm asking is what wasn't working up until now that it necessitates this kind of $1.5 million? I know it needs repairs. I know it's going to take money. The decking has issues need to be fixed, but why all of this?
Because it's responsible design. That's what it comes down to. And like I said before, we don't wait for accidents to occur, to wait for that to have something happen. We do it from our approach to make sure that there's a level of safety that we can stand behind with our stamps that represents something that we know is safe for the motoring, the walking, the biking public. So something like, independent of the color of certain features on the rendering, but the type of features to have a rail that's affixed to the bridge deck, that's closest to the traffic to keep traffic on the bridge. If not that, the alternatives to something else would precipitate a completely different type of structure, which I don't think anybody in this room would want. So this is the balancing that Tom talked about, which is how can we try to respect the timber frame structure, but in a way that meets current safety standards responsibly?
Safety standards for highways, right?
Yeah,
For all types of users.
all right, this is considered an urban collector bridge, according to the inspection. These are safety standards for a bridge that is not in a rural, historic, environmentally sensitive area because of, and I'm, please review the information on glulam and the national associations that have come out against putting glulam onto an existing timber bridge. It's there. Chapters have been written in reports over the past 20 years talking about the problems of this technology. I understand it's attractive. I know from, say, the incident in Duxbury, where the timber bridge that was there that the town manager was trying to secretly kill for 4.5 years because he had to keep repairing it and didn't even tell the selectmen he was working with DOT to try to kill it. That's still undergoing now. That's a major, well, you know better than I do.
I have no knowledge of this Duxbury
Okay, well,
project. So.
it's the Powder Point Bridge in Duxbury. It's a historic bridge. It's like 2 Sherman bridges together.
Excuse me, sir.
And they've been trying to kill that bridge because it's work to keep a timber bridge going. But the question is, what kind of accident reports? You have to have something in the past that shows it's necessary to harden this structure to this degree.
Thank you, sir, for your,
Where are those reports?
we appreciate your comments and your questions. There's a line of people behind you that have been
Oh,
waiting
I
quite
beg
a
your
while.
pardon. I'm sorry.
to
I
speak.
didn't realize you were there. I thought I was going
Yeah.
to yell into
So
the night.
if you wouldn't mind if they could come up and ask
I
their
certainly
questions, because
won't.
it's like
I
5 minutes
appreciate
to
your
9.
patience. I'm sorry to unload here, but these are all things that, having been 50 years involved in Sherman Bridge, are pretty apparent to me and many of the neighbors who are here, who have even been there longer, working through the process of trying to preserve a historic wooden bridge that's appropriate for that spot. And there are accommodations that can be made, but coming to a group like this, saying we have $1 million, we have an imperative to get the structure repaired now, is impossible. It's like saying, thank you for coming, but we already have the plan and we're about to sign off on it. I don't know when the contract's going to place, but pretty soon, I imagine. Thank you very much.
As Director Holder had said, this meeting was to collect the feedback, and they're going to take that feedback, the team, and they're going to look at what amendments can be made.
That's terrific. Will you now agree to have another meeting to discuss the feedback, the changes, and any implementation, some feedback from the community before contracts are signed to do this monstrosity.
There are other public hearings that are pending in front of both towns.
There are other public hearings and other opportunities to provide feedback in both towns, such as your Conservation Commission meetings.
No,
and
no, I
other
mean,
meetings.
a hearing like this, a get-together. It's something, it's standard practice. Mike can tell you, it's a.
Have you signed up for the email subscriber list?
certainly
Have you
have.
registered?
I'm looking
Okay.
forward to them.
So we can discuss that internally and see if it works into the time frame. If there's going to be another opportunity, but like,
The time frame is what? The time frame is to do, is to have it done by next summer, so you can do it during the summer and get the money? What time frame?
well, we have to look at the project schedule, sir, and respectfully, we have to absorb what has been presented here today.
Yes.
And then we can email out an update to you once we've
All
had
right,
time.
email updates, we need a meeting. We need another opportunity
Right.
to get the kind of feedback that you got tonight that I thought was extraordinary. It was very helpful.
I do too. I think it was a wonderful thing to see people actually come out to one of these meetings and to contribute
They're
their thoughts and
actually
their
interested
feedback.
in
And
it,
it's,
yes.
and it's wonderful to see that, and we appreciate that. And I applaud you all, because you gave us some more ideas outside of the box. Mr. McDowell gave some really great ideas. You've provided your feedback. We do want to take that feedback back with us and talk about it with the team.
All
and
right,
then
so
we'll
we
come
are
back
going
up.
to have another community meeting after this one?
So what I'm prepared to commit to tonight is that we as a design project team will debrief over this meeting. We will commit that within 3 weeks, using the distribution list that we have, we will put out a message to everybody here tonight on what the next steps are. And if you are not satisfied with that, then you will have the ability to reach out to town officials and make that known.
By email?
That you're going to reach out to town officials? That works best.
Tom, that's not acceptable. This is a major project. It's a major change to the context of it, and it's doing it without any regard for the safety of the road itself in both directions. There's a lot of things that needs to be done there. This isn't solving those other problems on the road.
Right, so
Like backing a
what I guess
semi-
I'm saying is that we'll put out the message to everybody here tonight
Yeah,
on what we believe our next steps will be. If you are not satisfied with that and you want to demand another meeting, then I would suggest you contact all of us and make that demand. But let us please at least learn from you tonight, put together a plan, and offer up next steps.
well, I understand that that's,
That's what I'm
that's
prepared
efficient.
to obligate tonight.
well, that's the efficient way to do it, but it's making this kind of a sham meeting because we're not really, we're giving input, but we're kind of, you know, that's the design, and we're going ahead with it, and we have $1 million. Go.
Yeah,
We
that's
have a-
not,
we have a
that's
time
not
frame.
true.
Okay. So you are going to commit to another full meeting?
I'm going to commit to informing this group what next steps are, what we learned tonight, what are
Yes.
going to be implemented into the design, and if that does not satisfy the group, then you can reach back out and let us
Okay.
know that.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I didn't mean to unload on you,
No,
but it's.
no worries.
You're the guy at the mic. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Alicia Carrillo, Basswood Avenue in Sudbury. I am so impressed by the commitment and investment by the folks that came out tonight. And you certainly know a lot more than I do, and I appreciate that. I feel like I'm in good hands. It's clear to me that the about 50 people who have been here tonight, the majority who have spoken are against the plan as it is proposed at this point. I think what I'm hearing is that this is the first vision meeting and is the last vision meeting. That's what I'm hearing. I think I'm hearing that the feedback presented by folks tonight will be considered in tweaking the plan. And I just wonder the likelihood of that. And also, in my mind, I'm just thinking, what will happen when we see the final plan and nothing has changed? I'm just putting that out there, like the what if of that. I heard from Wayland some emails and phone calls read into the record earlier tonight. I know our town manager of Sudbury is here tonight, and I'm wondering if there was any communication from Sudbury residents about the proposal that we have yet to hear about.
I apologize. I compiled the list of recorded correspondences between Sudbury residents and the project team. We compiled it into one list that Tom had read earlier tonight. So those comments, concerns, and opinions and voices from both towns were read tonight from both communities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I will just echo a lot of what I've heard tonight. This looks like overkill to me. I think we should go with a smooth wooden finish to comply with the scenic and historic site. I agree with the gentleman who spoke earlier that he goes down at the bridge and his blood pressure immediately comes down. When I look at this picture, my blood pressure is spiked. And I do appreciate the times when I have gone down to the bridge and been able to relax and kind of commune in that site. I would ask that going forward, I'm just looking at all the railings there. And one thing I've noticed as I drive over bridge after bridge after bridge in New England that has been, that have changed, been, renovated. I forget what word was used before.
Rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation, yeah. That suddenly, as you go by and slow down to look at the scenery, you can't see anything because the railings are so fortified that there is no scenic view anymore. So I would just say that my hope is no matter what happens, when I slow down to 5 miles an hour to go over the bridge so that I can take in the scenery, that I'll still be able to do that. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Michael Hodges. I live very close to the bridge, 62 Sherman Bridge Road. I've lived there with my wife Karen for a little over 26 years. I've agreed with many of the things mentioned tonight. I personally have been using the bridge quite frequently. I go down there perhaps 10 times in the last 2 months for viewing, photography, watching the great blues, and other wildlife. And one of the things that, just looking at this picture, it'd be nice to have walkways on both sides of the bridge. On this rendering I see here, the one walkway that's there is narrowed. I wasn't thinking about it until I heard tonight that maybe that's not even compliant with people with disabilities. I would like to know if it's possible to maintain the current width of a walkway, perhaps with a little bit more of engineering or modification, and adding it to the other side, if that actually can happen. That would be a request of myself, which I don't think I've heard the answer to. Okay, thank you very much.
Of course. Speaking to the slight narrowing on that side, I think a great comment, I forget who made it, of trying to get that foot back with a little cantilever on the side is certainly something that we'll look into to try to maintain that current width, just to help that cause.
Yeah,
And-
and also have the same thing on the other side.
Yeah.
That would be something that's new.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Challenges with that would just be town right-of-way on that side of the road is not, would have to investigate the width available for that. And it'd be quite difficult to do any type of cantilevered structure off the existing piles. So there'd be likely more in-water work and impacts that would require the permitting effort. So,
Okay, well, I still would like to see that this is also being improved for other people than people in vehicles. And that would be a great improvement, besides many of the other speed issues, which I think are really important too. But
Sure.
I just wanted to say that that I think would be a great improvement for the pedestrians, the people that are walking and viewing off the bridge. Thank you.
of course, thanks.
Hi, Elisa on Sherman's Bridge Road in Wayland. And they call it Sherman Bridge because the post office can't handle an apostrophe S. And that's why it's in the deeds and yeah, so if you write Sherman's Bridge on an envelope, it won't get there. So first, I wanted to thank everybody who has come here to hear the people who this concerns. And I didn't say that before because I was nervous. I'm still nervous. But I just kind of wanted to sum up. This is a bridge that is part of a conservation land and historic land and scenery, and it connects two completely residential rural areas. From other roads, off of Sherman's Bridge Road, or off the bridge, you might be able to get to Route 126 or 27 or whatever. But this is not a city. It's not urban. It's barely suburban. And it is not a highway. It would be better if it was just closed and made for pedestrians and maintain the viewing and the character of what is a historic bridge in this town and Sudbury. But I think what you've heard tonight is that changing the bridge this way may fix the bridge. It only increases danger for people on the ends of the bridge as people are speeding over it because it's easier, on Sherman's Bridge Road, on Lincoln Lane. And so to rush this project through because we're gonna get $1 million worth of free stuff is nearsighted, short-sighted, and a project like this would need to be considered what the impact is on the neighborhood, because this is a neighborhood bridge, two neighborhoods. And it wouldn't be good. And apparently, like where I live, where the place where they go the fastest on Sherman's Bridge Road, because they know they're gonna have to stop at the stop sign, so they wanna go as fast as possible because they finally got onto Sherman's Bridge Road from, 126. Phew. Apparently, it used to be a windy road, and they straightened it out when they redid the bridge. It's a really stupid idea. Maybe what they should do is have, some kind of a curve coming on and off, or even a rotary or something, where only cars can fit and go around that rotary. So in order to preserve the neighborhoods that are impacted on either side of the bridge, which would be better if it was in some way wooden and didn't have those obstacles, because when you're out there looking at the view in this historic and nature conservation land bridge, you want to walk across both sides. You know, you don't want to have to reach your legs over, and a short person like me can't do it, or walk all the way to the end to be able to get out of your kennel that goes along the sides and come back up the other side. We go back and forth in the front, and it's, I don't.
Talking about restrictions.
Yeah, it's just, it's restricted. And, or make it a one-lane road, and sometimes the days you can go one way, sometimes the other way, and have nice wide sides on, you know, on either side, where wheelchairs and limited access can go, and, you know, it's a much more, continuing the use that it has now, which is as much recreation of the neighborhood as it is trucks and vehicles crossing in order to avoid the highways that they should be on. Thank you.
Thanks.
Carol, I live on Lincoln Road. I just want to make a comment on your photograph there, your artist rendering. Where are the streetlights going in? I see the wires going over the bridge. There are none there. In reality, I don't think there are any wires going over the bridge. That's something that shouldn't have been in the picture. That's all, short and sweet.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Foster at Oxbow Road, which runs into Sherman's Bridge. I just had my visual of this is it doesn't really seem to preserve the historic character of the bridge. Mostly, I think, because of the asphalt. So I'm wondering what other materials were considered. I get that there's the stamping or the striping, but what other materials were considered as alternatives to asphalt?
Only other, and this was not considered, but in terms of wearing surfaces, besides asphalt, it would be concrete, and that's not something that we entertained on this
But there are
bridge.
no other kinds of wood or composite materials that could be used to solve the existing problem and build a better decking for it?
Could investigate other alternatives besides asphalt, but kind of the goal is to try to protect that investment of the glulam and lower the maintenance burden. So we'll take
So
that
at
into
the-
consideration
At
and
the
look
end of
into
the
other
day,
things.
there might be other materials that look more
Potentially.
aesthetically pleasing, but are,
Potentially,
yeah, okay.
or no asphalt, but we'll investigate that.
Well,
and-
asphalt, I see the difficulty there, is cracking but it's also, asphalt would be, from my perspective, the same as having, what's depicted here, which doesn't look anything like a historic bridge. So, I mean, this is a fine bridge, but it's not a historic bridge. It doesn't look like a historic bridge. So, it would be good to know what the other alternatives are.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So in the lateness of the hour, because it's almost 9:15, we'll take this gentleman's question, and then we're going to convene the meeting. Thank you, sir.
Good. So what we just heard was a problem with the project overview. I'm Jeff Stein. I live at 48 Sherman's Bridge Road for the past 25 years. Here you write, Sherman's Bridge carries traffic across the Sudbury River between Sudbury and Wayland. If that were all that Sherman's Bridge did, the picture here would mean that you solved the problem. But as you've heard tonight, that's only one little part of what Sherman's Bridge is, an iconic, historic wooden structure that defines an entire neighborhood. Sherman's Bridge is a place. People congregate there. People have been married on the bridge, for heaven's sake. But when you go to the bridge on almost any day, you can see someone photographing, painting, fishing off the bridge, putting boats in the water, just standing there watching the sunset. Or at nighttime, this is the only place on Sherman's Bridge Road, the end of the road before it gets to Sudbury, where the sky is available to you. So the dark night sky is a wondrous thing from the middle of Sherman's Bridge, and people bring their telescopes to there too. Shrinking the sidewalk from 5 feet, which is already a little too small, to 4 feet isn't helping many of the clients that you have for this bridge. So I would recommend at least a 6-foot sidewalk, easy to cantilever that. You probably know the rule of thumb for your front porch. It has to be at least 6 feet deep, or else someone standing there can't walk behind them, and yada, yada, yada. So Sherman's Bridge is a place. Remember that as you work over the next 3 weeks to see if you can solve some of the problems that are so much more complex than what you've presented to us so far.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, and I hope that you have signed up for the email subscriber list. As Director Holder had mentioned, we will be emailing out an update and next steps, and we appreciate that.